Good afternoon and welcome to Cisilion Live. We are episode 5 of series 2. We're getting lots of love from our followers on LinkedIn Live, YouTube and Twitter. So as always, thanks to you guys. Keep liking, keep sharing, keep the questions coming. You guys really help us make the show what it is. Also, quick shout out to some of our existing customers, some new joiners to the show. Welcome. We've got a few NHS trusts on our call as well, and obviously with what's going on in the world, much love to you guys. We hope you get some value out of this today. We've got some amazing Cisco headsets to give away at the end of during today's show, and we've also got some free workshops with our lovely guests as well to give away to some of you lucky viewers. Today, as always, I'm joined by Iqbal, who's actually modelling the Cisco headsets we're giving away today. You look great, Iqbal. And we also have a we also have a debut guest today, Adam Hand, who's one of our top solution consultants. Morning, Adam. Afternoon, even. And today we're talking contact center. And you know, we in our industry we hear lots of interesting names for contact centers. You know, customer engagement, client support, omni-channel support bots, etc. So what is it? It's the way that our clients and customers communicate and talk to our businesses, and in these new and next normals, it's a service which is becoming more and more of a front of house, business critical, brand strengthening service. And when it's done well, obviously, of course, it can quite quickly go the other way when it doesn't all go to plan. And the pandemic has had an unprecedented impact on businesses, on enterprises around the world, and how they adapt their day-to-day operations to address the realities of the new normal, the next normal. And this has become a mission-critical priority, and especially true of the contact center. And we've seen enormous changes in customer and consumer behavior, in that the way that we all work and communicate has changed massively, and in some cases permanently. Contact center isn't just a way to take payments, inquiries and complaints anymore. It's becoming hugely important, as I said earlier, from a brand recognition and reputation perspective. And as a consumer, whether you're paying your gas bill, your phone bill, your insurance renewal, asking your bank for a mortgage, contact centers becoming more and more like the shop floor, or for our businesses, more and more like our own shop floor. And I'm glad, actually, I've got a couple of experts on the call today to help us all demystify the technology, share what our clients are doing. And for me, I'm using these bots, these helplines, video chats more regularly than I ever have before. And I guess before we get into the nuts and bolts of innovation and the art of the possible, etc., with traditional contact centers becoming less and less like a building with 200 people, 200 agents, and more like 200 mini contact centers dotted around the place, how as a user, I'm sure we all think this sometimes, but how as a user do I know when I'm speaking to Johnny when he's in his eating his cornflakes in his underpants, that my information is secure? Iqbal, I'll throw that one at you, and I'll encourage our viewers to ask as many questions as they can throughout as possible. But Iqbal, I'll throw that one over to you, my friend.
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. I think it's certainly something that concerns a lot of people, including myself at times. But before I go into that, you made a good point around, what we call this technology now. Is it contact center? But when you actually think about where we are now, we're no longer building contact centers. We are now almost building a distributed network of agents and technology. So it'll be interesting to see what we call this in the future. But today, as an industry, we still refer to it as contact center. It's very much what we recognize. I think most people understand that terminology. But ultimately, we're trying to deliver a great customer experience. Now, going back to your point about security, I think most companies have addressed this well. It's crucial that they do, because customer information is so important to keep that secure now more than ever. We've got lots of compliance in place with GDPR, MiFID II. There's all sorts of things there to protect us as consumers. Now, it's all well and good that these regulations are there, but the technology has to be able to match that regulation. And as you said, when you call into a contact center, one thing I would say to anybody is never give away anything over the phone, anything that could implicate you from a security standpoint. When it comes to credit card numbers, passwords, you should not be sharing that with an agent. Agents shouldn't be privy to that information. With technology such as PCI DSS now deployed across most contact centers, means that you should be able to tap in your credit card, or you should be able to do some of that via self-service where you authenticate yourself. So by the time you do speak to somebody who's sat in their bedroom eating cornflakes, you've already authenticated yourself. You're not having to share anything. They've identified you, but they shouldn't have access to anything critical. And things like monitoring, call recording, screen recording, those types of technologies are there to ensure that agents, regardless of where they're sat, they are able to they are fully monitored, and you can be rest assured that your information is secure and safe. Hopefully that kind of answers that point. And now you can call up Sky, because I see you're having issues with your internet today, so I think that's probably going to be your next port of call after this session today.
I think it might be, and sorry if that's causing anyone any pain on the viewing end.
It's fine. We can make you out.
Thank you, Sky. Adam, we're good stuff. Adam, I was going to say, just with what Iqbal mentioned about screen recording, how I guess there's a lot of innovation around video at the moment. How important do you think video is coming to contact centers and also to the consumers using them?
I think it is quite important to them in terms of being able to see that face, because previously you mentioned about obviously banks and things like that. When you're dealing with them, generally you'd like to do that on a face-to-face basis. And even now with like doctor surgeries and things like that, people are being encouraged to use more online services. And for example, get an appointment with GPs, that there are a lot of video conferencing services or video one-to-one basis services that helps that, and that is an extension of where obviously contact center can help in that space. So it is very, very important, but it's a challenge. It's not for everyone, because not everyone wants to obviously see their face on the screen and obviously share that with other people, or obviously the surroundings they're in as well. So it's personable at the same time.
Yeah, indeed. And there's a lot of innovation, both video and omni-channel, coming from some of the big vendors, Iqbal, isn't there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think probably a good time to kind of go through, where the industry is now, where it's going, what the technology looks like. But before we do that, let's take a step back and try and see what are the challenges we're trying to solve here, right? What is a contact center there to do? Yes, you talked about building a great brand. It's front of house, ensuring that you're able to kind of deliver a great service to your customers. But as well as that, you need to address and understand what, as an organization, you're looking to achieve. So I've just got a slide that I'm just going to share, if we can put that up. So yeah, customer experience is important, but let's try and understand what the organization, the agents, and the customer frustrations are, and let's see if we can try and address all of these things together. Can we really solve all these problems? We know from an organization standpoint, those that are running a contact center are suffering from low CSAT, so that's customer satisfaction, and net promoter scores. That impacts their brand directly. So they're always trying to improve those things. Amongst contact centers, it's well known that there's always a high agent churn rate. In fact, my first job when I was at university was working as a customer service agent. So I saw so many people come and go, because it's just the nature of what it is. It's because it's not a valued job necessarily. So that's a big problem for many organizations. Process inefficiencies, high cost. Contact center is known to be a very high cost platform solution because of the complexity of where it delivers. So how can we try and deliver more value whilst it's still reasonably a high cost solution? How can we try and deliver a low ROI? So that's kind of some of the main pain points for organizations. Moving on to agents, again, from an agent point of view, a lot of what you do is very repetitive. A lot of tasks that you carry out to close off tickets, to resolve problems, can become quite mundane. Slow processes due to technology, outdated technology, so you're not able to kind of address customer issues because the technology just simply won't let you. Too many steps in the processes, and then ultimately dealing with angry customers. I think that's probably the hardest part of the job, because for whatever reason, either because of service or because the customer's having to wait long in a queue, you're having to deal with an upset customer. So that's another tough one. So that's from an agent point of view. And then coming to the customer, the all-important customer, if you've poorly designed your IVR or the way your customers interact with you, that can end up with quite a rigid experience for the customer, which will result in long wait times and lack of self-service. Lack of digital interaction, I think, is important. We don't always want to pick up a phone and talk to somebody. We want to be able to just chat to somebody via WhatsApp or web chat or whatever. And the hardest thing is, and it's very rare that you get your problem resolved on that first call, that first contact. And wouldn't it be great to be able to do that? To be honest, I only ever get to experience that with companies like Amazon, where I start an interaction and it will always end with the desired result, whether it's needing a refund or whatever. It gets dealt with at that first point of contact. And I think it's important that we do that as a contact center, you do try and address this. So, and addressing these points is crucial to sustaining kind of long-term excellence. So that's the kind of challenge, the frustrations. Guys who are listening, please, any questions, post them on YouTube or LinkedIn, and we'll try and kind of address any questions. We'll even follow up afterwards if there's something that we can't answer on this session today. So just moving on to how we can address these issues. In our opinion, having an AI integrated contact center, blending in AI with super agents can really kind of deliver that great customer experience that we're looking for. Enabling self-service, we know that now allows your consumer to contact you at any time of day or night. We want to be quick at being able to present the right solution, the right answer. We want to try and deliver a conversational user experience for when you're being self-served. And then the last bit around agents, giving agents the knowledge, the context, the insight to ensure that they're ready to solve that customer issue. And in terms of the specifics around how we can address those frustrations and those challenges, let's build an intelligent self-service IVR using AI to handle those mundane tasks, those things that can be solved every time. For instance, being able to simply check your balance or being able to make a payment. You don't need to speak to an agent. That can all be done through self-service. Reducing those call volumes. We know that can be done if the AI can solve those issues digitally or in fact through a chat bot or a voice bot. Providing real-time transcripts to the agent so that everything that's been discussed has been captured, and then that can be stored without the agent having to make lots of notes, and then you can wrap up quicker. That then results in lower average handle times, which is what every organization is trying to do with their contact center, improving the CSAT and NPS by offering that AI and omni-channel experience, offering live agent assistance. I think this is a recent thing that's coming that as part of the Cisco contact center we can offer as well, where you get in-call suggested answers by the AI. So if a customer's unhappy, then an AI can whisper in your ear and suggest things. And then beyond that, you've got we want to try and do that first contact resolution, as I've said. So you want to redefine that customer journey to try and address that. And sentiment insights for the agent, being able to coach the agent. So from a supervisor's perspective, being able to pick up what's going on in real time by being alerted when a conversation with the customer is not going as well, and being able to help kind of your agents address that issue. So that's in terms of the kind of the bits that we can help resolve, and try and use this as a way to address those frustrations. The question is, how do we achieve this, right? It's all well and good, you get the vendors talking about these things. I'm sure you guys have seen lots of vendors talk about the specifics, but when it comes down to it, when you look at the nuts and bolts, how do we kind of address that? And I've just got one more slide to share before we kind of go into other points. And we're obviously a big Cisco Gold partner. We've been selling Cisco contact centers for many years, and we've seen how that's kind of evolved over time. And recently Cisco announced their kind of partnership with Google to deliver the AI contact center embedded in with their Cisco contact center to deliver that kind of end-to-end experience. And we've now already, we're helping customers today to integrate machine learning, natural language, and speech recognition to embed into existing or new contact centers. And we are now seeing the industry as a whole is moving to the cloud in terms of contact center, and that starts to unlock all of these things that we've discussed. So I was going to throw it back to Craig, but I think you're having issues with your audio. Are you still there? Are you with us?
I've turned my camera off, but I think my audio is okay.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect. I'm definitely going to be using a contact center today, guys. So we'll pick up on that next time.
Yeah, we look forward to hearing about that. So yeah, no, just throwing it back to you.
Yep, sounds like we've got a bit of lag. I'll grab it from here. I was going to basically just check in with Adam there. If Adam, you had any additional thoughts really on the slide deck, any additional perspective really for the viewers?
So obviously I come from a Microsoft background. So obviously in terms of my thoughts around this, Microsoft do lots in the team space, in the partner community, and there are different ways in which Microsoft have been providing that integration to partners. So they've got three main programs that they see it: the Connect, which is in essence the basic level integration of which contact centers can integrate into Microsoft Teams. So it's predominantly that integration is over SIP, so there's no real inherent integration into Microsoft Teams. They then step that up to Connect and Extend, which then obviously starts building upon obviously that integration that Microsoft allow partners to do. And then the real true partners are using Extend and Power, that Microsoft call it, that obviously gives you that full integration into Microsoft Teams to enable that. And obviously we've worked with a few of the vendors, and on Microsoft's list of partners they've got on there. It's about 11 on there at the moment, and some of the key ones that we've had experience with, or I've had experience with, is Luware, Anywhere 365, Nice, Enghouse, are all some of the leading vendors that are out there in the contact center space with Microsoft, and are fully integrated into that. So to add upon what obviously Iqbal's position from the Cisco side, there is obviously a wealth of partners and experiences that can deliver that in the Microsoft Teams space as well, and provide that AI and intelligence built on obviously what Microsoft can do with Cortana, and obviously the other elements of Microsoft AI as well.
Thank you, Adam. And I looked at the Microsoft Certified Contact Center list recently. It feels like anyone can get a badge for Microsoft. I noticed you called a few out there. Why do you think there's so many in that space?
I think it's well, to be fair, I think it's a lack of competition to start off with, and also the integration. Obviously, like I've just said, if you add at the basic level, Connect doesn't give you much integration into Microsoft, and obviously Microsoft's program is allowing that to, for any of these vendors to kind of jump to the forefront in terms of become approved, because the approval list is what's seen by a lot of customers as the way to move forward. In terms of if Microsoft have put a sticker on them, then it must be good. But I'd definitely recommend that you do your homework on whatever vendors you're looking to work with, because not all of them are true and full integration into Microsoft Teams as well. So it comes down to your requirements as a customer.
Sure. And Iqbal, there's actually quite a few questions coming in on that subject, isn't there, about how we integrate the different platforms?
Yeah, so some of those bits I've touched on already, but just I guess going back to Adam's point that Microsoft have certified many vendors, but it's important that you kind of stick with experience when it comes to this technology. And from our point of view, we are doing the due diligence. We are working with those core vendors that have been in this space for a while. So, please do get in touch if you are looking at enabling contact center for Microsoft Teams. We are doing that with many customers already today. And looking at some of the questions, actually, there's one particular question that's come up around what contact center would be ideal for somebody who has a Cisco UCM environment, potentially looking to move to Microsoft Teams. Ultimately, from my point of view, the question just come up. It's you want to try and go for something that will future-proof you, and understanding the telephony strategy does matter in some cases. But at the same time, most contact centers that we see today are quite agnostic in terms of how they integrate into PBXs. What I would try and understand is how you'd like your contact center integrated into your platform. How are your agents accessing these services today? Are they using CRM today? Should the contact center be focused around the CRM and be integrated with that? Or are you looking for something that provides better integration into your Microsoft Teams, for instance, where you have that single pane of glass? So there's lots of things there to address, but answering this particular question, if you have a Cisco environment, you have investment in that area, then do look at WebEx Contact Center, because that can quite easily work both with your Cisco environment and Microsoft Teams as well. With all of the integration that's available today, that's certainly what I would look at.
There's a question on there that I'd like to pick out as well, if that's okay, Iqbal. So
of course.
One of the questions is, can a contact center solution handle different customer interactions, like email, web chat, or social media monitoring? Some of the vendors that obviously I've mentioned before can definitely do that with Microsoft Teams, and treating that as a true omni-channel interaction. So that could be off of your website, that could be off of Twitter, Facebook, those type of things as well. And furthermore, it could come from things like Salesforce or Dynamics. The integration possibilities are there. We've even got ones that people have asked for integration to ServiceNow, so the internal IT platform for login tickets. So there are many ways, and these integrations are available. And once again, it's dependent on you as a customer and your requirements, but they are achievable today in the contact centers that obviously I've mentioned around.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Another question we've seen from Mark Holden, if we can bring that up. So agents showing their face via video to clients. I think, Craig, you were going to ask this question, weren't you? Is this the long-term direction, or do you think it will never properly catch on? I think it's a great point. I think up until the pandemic, video is never been the driving force for any contact center. But I think now that we're getting used to this this type of engagement where we are talking to each other over video, we are seeing this becoming more prevalent. I'm actually working with a very big retailer today to enable video within their contact center, but actually extending that to the retail shops, so that you've got clients who aren't able to get to stores, speak to advisors in the shop via video, and tying that into your kind of contact center. So, I'm certainly seeing organizations look at this. So I think it is catching on. The technology has taken a bit of time, I think, in the contact center space, mainly because of demand. I think the demand hasn't been there, and now that's starting to shift. So we are now seeing ways in which we can address that today. So I would say the answer to that question is absolutely yes. A couple of other questions. I think, shall we get Pandian's question? What is the percentage of natural language have you achieved with Google Cloud integration on Cisco? Percentage is a difficult one. I would say every customer is leveraging AI in different ways. We're seeing some customers be really advanced in terms of where they are with it, where they've got it fully integrated in with their business processes, so that their AI is has the knowledge to be able to address customer issues. But I still feel most customers are just scratching the surface with this. I think this is just the beginning of what we will see. But everybody needs to make a start somewhere. I think this is where, if you are managing and running a contact center, do speak to us. We can help try and get you guys started with the basics in terms of whether it's speech recognition, to be able to reduce the number of IVR options is definitely a quick win. And then we can start looking at how we can try and self-serve customers in different ways. So yeah, that's definitely something we can do. I'm just conscious, Craig. I don't know. I know you had a couple of questions as well. I don't know if you've picked out anything else that we need to answer. Are you still with us? I think we may have lost him. But
I guess just one thing, as he got a number of questions coming in. Sorry, we probably can't get around to. Yeah, can you hear me? Okay, I take
we
it.
can. Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we can.
Just for the viewers in mind, I've got a lot of lag, Iqbal. Maybe you yourself and Adam should see this one out from now from a user experience perspective.
Yeah. No, of course, yeah. We'll take it from here. I think there's some other points mentioned around CRM integrations, as I mentioned before. We've worked with lots of different CRMs like Salesforce, ServiceNow, Dynamics. And helping kind of integrate. And I think it's important in most contact centers case, there is a CRM in some way or another. So it's understanding how we can get the AI integrated, how we can do things like screen pop, so that the agent's just living within the CRM space. And ultimately, as we said, we want to try and deliver a great customer experience, but also a great agent experience as well. I'm just conscious of time. We only have a few minutes left. I'm just going to throw it back to you, Adam, and get your final thoughts on where do you see the contact center space within the Microsoft Teams landscape, because that's certainly a question that I get asked a lot. It's like, well, at some point in the future, we've discussed we're going to go to Teams. What should I do? What vendor should I really go with? And where is that industry going? Do you see it going?
Yeah, there's some very good questions in there, Iqbal. And in terms of it, it's a lot of the customers that we're seeing that want contact center is to do lots of the integration that we spoke about, and furthermore, what they want it fully integrated in Microsoft Teams, because what they don't want is another pane of glass or another application or another integration to enable that to happen. They want it to integrate natively, and furthermore, obviously, in the extreme times that we're in at the moment. Managing those abilities, even for example, we mentioned about banks and things like that earlier, there is compliance in there as well that needs to be taken care of, like for example payment processing. How can you ensure that the guy sitting there eating his cornflakes isn't going to be capturing that that credit card information in terms of what it's over? And that's where obviously call recording can be enabled on top of contact centers, and even PCI compliant payment modules. And we've got vendors that we can work with that can obviously do that integration as well into obviously the contact centers, and furthermore into Microsoft Teams to enable that to happen. So in terms of where this is going, it's been the biggest kind of bugbear from a Microsoft point of view that customers have had for quite some time, and we're now starting to get to a stage where the right vendors are in the market, such as Luware, who are very strong in this space in terms of it from a product set, and also the native integration in terms of those features. And furthermore, it's helping drive the acceleration, because Teams has grown massively in this period, just due to its ease of use, and obviously it's available to everyone on Office 365 subscriptions. And it's a lot of it's the next step. What's next for me? What's the best way to integrate this? Because legacy PBX, legacy contact center means I've got to have people in an office to be able to make sure that we're compliant. Now, obviously, with the right technologies and the right solutions and processing, that can happen with the right vendors, and that's definitely something that we, as a systems integrator, can help with in terms of that.
Yeah, excellent. I think just before we wrap up, there's one other question in there where Pandian's asked whether we are Cisco centric in the contact center space. We do tend to kind of lead with Cisco, but from a contact center standpoint, from an experience point of view, but we do work with others. So we have an offering around Microsoft Teams, as we've said already. So if you are, depending on your requirements, we work with a number of vendors to try and to deliver that. But as well as that, we also have a Amazon Connect offering as well. So we do play in different areas depending on what your requirements are, and Amazon in itself is probably a discussion for another time, because it's a completely different way of consuming contact center services. So just kind of, in terms of final thoughts from me, what does the future hold for contact center? I think, we are, as I said, we're kind of shifting away from this contact center to this new world, where we want to be able to deliver services from anywhere in the world, while at the same time serving customers through whatever channel they prefer, whenever they want to be served. And I think that's the future that we can all look forward to. So on that note, I'm going to wrap up now. Really appreciate everybody joining. Any questions that we haven't addressed, we'll certainly come back to you. We've got another session in 2 weeks, which is just going to come up now as we wrap up. And just finally, we'll pick out 2 winners from those that have registered with a chance to win this Cisco 730 headset. Thanks again. See you all soon. Thanks,
Thank
Adam.
you.